Equilibrium and LeChatelier's principle. A copper 2 chloride aqueous solution is in equilibrium with copper hexahydrate. This lab investigates how this equilibrium can be shifted to the right or left by changing the temperature and concentration of the reactants or products. The shifts in equilibrium can be monitored by changes in the color of the solution as more products or more reactants are produced. Here is a list of the materials required for this experiment. Read through the procedure, obtain all materials, clean and sanitize the work area. Preparation. Prepare 15 milliliters of a concentrated sodium chloride solution as follows. Tare a weigh boat, then weigh out 4.5 grams of sodium chloride in the weigh boat. Bend the weigh boat in half and pour the sodium chloride into the 25 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask. Use the 10 milliliter graduated cylinder to add 15 mils of water to the flask. Gently swirl the solution until the sodium chloride crystals are dissolved. Activity 1. Common ion effect. Use a grease pencil to number the test tubes 1 through 5 and place them in the front row of the test tube rack. Add 2 milliliters or 40 drops of the copper 2 chloride solution to each of the 5 test tubes. Test tube number 1 will be the control and reference for color. Nothing will be added to test tube number 1. Record this color in data table 1. Using the 10 milliliter graduated cylinder, measure 1 milliliter of concentrated salt solution from the Erlenmeyer flask and add it to test tube 2. Gently swirl to mix. Add 2 milliliters of concentrated salt solution to test tube number 3. Add 4 milliliters of concentrated salt solution to test tube number 4 and also test tube number 5. You will need both of these tubes for temperature comparisons later in the lab. Compare the colors of the solutions in test tubes 2 through 5 to that of test tube number 1. Use white paper as a background to assist with the view and the color comparisons. Take a photo of the 5 solutions. Record the colors in the appropriate columns in the data table. Activity 2, addition of silver nitrate. Add 1 milliliter of silver nitrate solution to test tube number 3 and gently swirl to mix the solution. Allow the solution to sit for 5 minutes. Record all observations in data table 1. Take a photo of test tube number 3 and test tube 1. Activity 3, addition of water. Add 3 milliliters of water to test tube number 4 and stir with a pipette. Compare the color of the solution in test tube number 4 to the color of the solution in test tube number 5. Record these colors in data table 1. Also take a photo of test tube number 4 and test tube 5. Add 3 milliliters of water to test tube number 5 and stir with a pipette. Keep all test tubes for the next activity. Activity 4. Effective temperature on equilibrium. Record the temperature and color of the solution in test tube number 4. Fill a 250 milliliter beaker with hot tap water. Record the temperature of the hot water bath in data table 2. Fill a 10-ounce plastic cup half full with ice cubes and then add water. Record the temperature of the cold water bath in data table 2. Place test tube number 5 into the hot water bath. Gently stir the solution with a thermometer until the temperature is approximately 50 degrees. Compare the color of the solution in test tube number 5 to the solution in test tube number 4 at room temperature. Take a photo of test tube number 4 and test tube number 5. Record the direction of the equilibrium shift in data table 2 by observing the final color. Now place test tube number 5 into the cold water bath. Gently stir the solution with the thermometer until the temperature is less than 10 degrees. Compare the color of the solution in test tube number 5 to the color of the solution in test tube number 4 at room temperature. Record the direction of the equilibrium shift in data table 2 by observing the final color. Take another photo of test tube number 4 and test tube number 5. Mix any remaining silver nitrate solutions with a few milliliters of sodium chloride solution. A white precipitate of silver chloride will form. This can be absorbed into some paper towels and disposed of in the trash. All reaction solutions not containing silver nitrate and remaining copper chloride solutions can be poured down the drain with running water. Allow the faucet to run a few minutes to dilute the solutions. Clean and dry the lab equipment and then return them to your equipment kit. Clean and sanitize your workspace. This concludes our investigation of equilibrium and LeChatelier's principle.